Hi, Madhuri.
Hi, Isha.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been
Right.
such a long time for us to come on Zoom, right?
Oh, completely. It's been ages now, it feels.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
And you can see my background. It's not virtual, it's real. I'm in the
Wow, it's
natural landscape.
beautiful. Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you. Till you hear a crow crowing or a cow mooing, then you can understand that.
I would love to hear those sounds. We don't get to hear them.
Okay, let's try and ask you a few things, and I'm really thankful for you to come here and share your journey with us. I'm really thankful for that. A lot of people don't want to do it, but it's
Mhm.
very educating for me as a professional. It's very educating for other parents who come and visit me. So I'm really thankful for doing this with us, with me especially.
I feel I should share the experiences that I have. I don't want to be selfish and hold all that information with me. I think whatever knowledge and information I have, I want this to be beneficial to other parents. So I'm more than happy to share everything that I know.
Thank you so much. That actually is very, very helpful. As I said, as a clinical psychologist, that is very, very helpful coming from almost the horse's mouth. So
Hmm.
that's that's better than any DSM book that any parent or any professional can read.
Yeah,
So
yeah. This is my experience, real life
yes,
experience.
exactly. Right. So I mean, it's like who better to talk about autism who's living and understanding it for 22 years now. So
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So my first question to you is that you must be knowing every technical definition possible on this earth about autism. But as a mother, I want to ask you what signs or what concerns you saw in Varun, right, that made you go to a professional and that made you seek a professional help also.
Yeah. So Varun is my firstborn. I've told this many times, and Varun is my firstborn. So I was a first-time mom. So I was clueless about anything related to child development. I would have read a couple of books, but reading books and actually bringing up a child are two different things. They don't match. And there was no Google, there was no YouTube. I couldn't watch any videos. So I had access to a few books. Those days, even books were difficult to get in India. So what I found, like for the first 1 year, Varun was typically developing. When I see his photos in the childhood, I see he was smiling, posing at the photos. Everything was going on. After the first birthday, slowly we started seeing a few changes in him. He was losing interest in people around him. He was preferring to be alone, and he would. By 1.5 years, he started, doing this hand flapping movements. He would constantly jump and he would do hand flapping, and we would think that he's happy, so he's running and he's hand flapping. And he would be constantly on the move. I was in my mother's house. It was a very big house. We had 2 3 floors in the house. So he would go up and down from one bedroom to the other bedroom, all over the house. He was like literally running all over the house. And we would think that, oh, he's cute and he's happy and he's running. And so he would not at all respond to his name call. When we would call him, Varun, come here, he wouldn't turn and look at us. And we were thinking that he was being naughty, he was being cheeky. Everything that he did, we just interpreted in a very naive way that that's how children are. It's okay. And my mother too, she was there, and she used to say, why doesn't he turn, what's wrong? And then she would say, maybe, children from my time were different from children of your time. It's different, maybe, because I was 25, 26 years old when I had Varun. So she had like 26 years gap. She probably forgot many things. And and he was extremely picky eater. He just wouldn't eat anything except for a little bit of roti and lots of milk. There was a time when he would just have like 2 liters milk, and we used to think milk is healthy, so let him have milk. And a little bit of a piece of roti. With each time he had milk, he would have a little bit of roti, and that's it. Maybe whole day he would have one roti and like 2 liters of milk. So he just wouldn't allow any textures in his mouth. And he did not speak at all, just not speak at all. He had a few words at the beginning of the first year, but by the time he reached 1.5 years, He lost all his words. He did not speak, and he had a lot of sleep issues. He would hardly sleep whole night. He would sleep at 3 or 4 a.m. and then he would sleep till late in the morning, you know. And whole night he would want the milk bottle. It was very hard to wean him off the bottle. So he would need, every time he woke up, there has to be milk bottle in his mouth. And he would also would not sleep deep sleep, because even if there's a little bit of little minute sound, he would wake up in the night. So literally I was walking on eggshells in the house, because even if there's a small sound, he would wake up. My husband and I used to take turns, because once he wakes up, then he wouldn't go back to sleep. So these are the symptoms that I saw as a mother, but I didn't know that. I couldn't put everything together. As I said, there was no internet. There was nobody to tell me. And my pediatrician probably was not trained in diagnosing conditions like autism. So she would say, you are being over anxious. It's okay, he'll be fine. Just give him some more time. You are too well read and too over anxious a mother. So I kept on waiting. So I think that I waited almost till 2 years for doing anything, for even to go to somebody to get some help. So but by the time he turned 2, my younger son was already about closer to 1 year, and he started speaking a few words. And his behavior, when I compared his behavior to Varun's behavior, there was a massive difference, a huge difference. That's when my red flags went off in my head. I was like, no, this is not working. There is a problem. I need to go to somebody and figure out what's wrong with Varun. So that's how I ended up with a clinical psychologist in Hyderabad for a diagnosis. Yeah.
As a clinical psychologist, I have to ask this question. 22 years, Varun is 22 and he's a bright young man now. But 22
Yeah.
years back, finding a clinical psychologist and having a diagnosis of autism in itself seems like just out of the box. I mean, something that is not talked about, something that, but seeking a psychological help in itself is a big deal then, was a big deal, maybe, if I can correct it like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you find that
Actually,
difficulty?
actually, uh, I don't know how I even ended up with this clinical psychologist. I don't know who referred that lady to me. Maybe through some connects or somebody, or my doctor has told. I don't remember my doctor telling me, but through some friend or something, I would have gotten to know about her. There was only one person who could help me actually. That was her. And I think there were hardly any clinical psychologists in Hyderabad. There were like one or two, and she was one of them. And I don't even know which assessment she had done, because I don't have that report with me anymore. But she did not do the assessment. She was more like a typical doctor, like a clinician. She was sitting in one room, and she had one intern kind of a girl who took me into another room. After I spoke to her, she said, okay, there'll be an assessment. And she took me and Varun. That room was so tiny and dingy. There was just one table and chair. There were no toys at all for him to manipulate. And he just refused to sit in the room, but I literally forced him to sit with me. And she asked me a lot of questions, like more like a psychometric assessment type of a thing. There were list of questions, and she just heard my answers, and she was just marking probably yes or no or whatever, or scoring my answers. And within 15-20 minutes, she sent me away, and she told me that you should come for the report after a few days. So I went and collected the report, and in the report, it was written that Varun has autism spectrum disorder. So that's it. That in 20 minutes, the diagnosis happened. And I don't know what transpired after I left, because we were not there. Nobody even spoke to Varun. They just looked at Varun. They didn't speak to him at all. So I was wondering, how do they know? And then my own thing happened. My own journey happened with it, Then I did whatever I need to do. But the diagnosis was pretty lackluster, let me say, or pretty, what do you say, not done well. So a new mom like me will not be able to process that information, because nobody spoke to me. And then this paper was handed over to me when I went. And the clinical psychologist, I don't even know if she was a clinical psychologist. She was a psychologist because she had a PhD in psychology. I don't know if it was clinical psychology. She told me that your child has autism, there's nothing much that can be done. You can teach him some things like taking bath, brushing his teeth and all. And she and her husband ran a school for special children. She said, if you send him to our school, we will train him in certain basic skills like traveling by a bus, buying a ticket, and things like that. She sound made it sound so sad actually. So I did not know what to say. So I just said, okay, thank you. And I just took the report and came home. That's it. That's how the counseling was done. And it was pretty sad actually that I was a new mom. Nobody even thought about what I was going through, nothing, you know. So I didn't know what to do. I did not know. I heard the word autism for the first time in my life. I did not know what it meant, whether it's a good thing, bad thing to have autism, no idea. But from what she told me, it sounded pretty bad, actually. So that was how I heard the word autism for the first time in my life.
It's very sad state of affairs that you said, but it is so true. As a
Yeah.
clinical psychologist, I do understand diagnosis becomes important. And sometimes when we see the child or talk to the mother, the initial history phase, we do understand that where the diagnosis could be heading towards, the
Yeah.
concerns could be heading towards. But making a diagnosis just by one scale and not observing the child and not trying to figure out what are the plus points or what are the strengths of the child and weaknesses of the child is, is just unacceptable. When
No.
actually from a professional point of view. I mean, like a
Yeah.
speech therapy, like a speech assessment, maybe a motor assessment, start with a developmental assessment. I mean, you rightly said that anything can mimic autism symptoms. There's so many disabilities that can actually mimic the symptoms of autism.
Yeah. Start.
So tell me, Madhvi, after the diagnosis, generally with such a diagnosis, first comes denial, right?
Hmm.
And then acceptance. What about the social support that you got 22 years back? People around you, how did they react?
Isha, I was in a nuclear family. I mean, I and my husband and with our two children were there, and my parents were there. When I told my parents about this, they said, no, no, there's nothing wrong. Boys usually speak late, nothing to worry, he'll be fine. Maybe nowadays there is a name for everything, but when you were growing up, there was no name. So it's okay. Boys are like that. But more than anybody, I don't need to convince anybody. I don't need anybody to agree with me. As a mother, I knew there is something wrong.
Hmm.
I'm already convinced.
Hmm.
Luckily for me, I did not go through the denial phase, but I was looking for a cure.
Hmm.
I was not denying the problem that he had. I know there is a problem. I accept it. But I was looking at, is there a quick fix? Can I just
Hmm.
fix him and make him fine? Initially, couple of
Hmm.
months.
Hmm.
Because I was too naive. I said, I never heard the word autism till I saw that on the report.
Hmm.
I didn't know what that was. There was no Google. So luckily I was in IT, so I had access to internet. There was something called Ask Jeeves, and I searched on it, and I came across Autism Society of America, and then I started reading about it. And then, it took a few, maybe months, maybe 1 or 2 months for me to get to the point that maybe there is no cure,
Hmm.
He was still at home. My son was still at home. He was not getting any help for a month or so. At least a month. I was just doing my own research, and I kind of realized that there is no cure also for this. I need to find a way to get out of the situation or give him the support that he needs.
Hmm.
So I couldn't order books from Amazon US. I had to have somebody. Luckily, somebody was coming to India. I ordered a lot of books on autism, and there were these Yahoo groups those days. There was no Google, so there were Yahoo groups. I joined some Yahoo groups. I was reading the messages that parents are posting, wrote to them, spoke to them. So my self-empowerment, so to say, has started. I had to equip myself with information. I'm like that. I need to know. I can't just ask somebody and say, okay, I'll do it, whatever they say. But I also wanted to be active part of this whole thing. So I was reading a lot. And I started looking for speech therapists, special educators. I didn't know that he didn't need a special educator. He was too young. But the only information I had was if a child is not able to learn the regular way, the normal way, he needs to have a special educator. My friend's mom was a special educator. I called her and she said that I don't usually teach 2-year-olds. I teach older people who have intellectual disability. So she said, I can't take. Then with great difficulty, I found one speech therapist. I started taking Varun to her, and he was not sitting, he was extremely hyperactive. And within a month, this lady, she got a US visa and she got a job and she left. And my search started again. And there were some people who were willing to come home, some therapists. They were pathetic. They couldn't speak a sentence in English. They couldn't understand him. They were asking me, telling me that they have to go away and they will lock him up alone in the room with them. They said, I have to, he has to be scared, then only he will learn. I just chucked them out of the house. I said, no, you can't just lock a child in the room with you. I don't know who you are. I can't leave my child alone with you. Okay. Like right now here we have CCTV cameras in Ananya, and I ensure that every corner of all the rooms is covered. There was no way I could ensure the safety of my child in the locked room. And then special educators who came home, they said that they will do special education with him. They would do reading and writing. I said, I don't want reading and writing. I want him to speak first. Don't worry about his reading and writing. Then I hit like a wall, there was nothing, nothing was happening. It was all crazy. And the special schools I visited were for severely challenged children. They had intellectual disabilities, and they said that Varun will be part of the same group. He was 2. How could I just put him in a classroom full of children with intellectual disabilities? And so I had to leave the country finally. For a few months, I tried doing something here. The preschool that I found for him, that they also gave up on him. They said they can't continue with him because they don't know what to do with him in the class, because he wasn't speaking, he wasn't sitting at one place, he was hyperactive, and he was running to every class where the music class was going on. He was extremely inclined towards music. So teacher is saying whole day he's in the same in all the music classes in the school. He's never in my class. So why are you even sending him to school? There's no point. Then I said, I'm done with this. I just need to find a solution. So I had a job that could send me abroad. So I spoke to my boss and he found an opportunity in the UK, and I left with him to the UK. So I can't say there was no help available, but I was not happy with the help that was available. So I just decided, that I will find the help that I'm happy with. If it is not in India, I'll go somewhere else and find. So finally, I landed in the UK and understood the system, the way UK works. And when they met him, and they said that he's not severely autistic, so he should go to a regular school with help, with support. So they gave him admission. So things started looking better, and I started getting help from the school. There was a full-time learning support for him. And the speech therapist used to come to school. OT used to come to school and support Varun and make a plan for him. And I started hiring other specialists outside the school system privately. So, and I started doing ABA for him for some time. And started doing nutrition, read about nutrition, started special diets, and his sleep has significantly improved. His hyperactivity reduced. His gut issues were getting improved. He started gaining weight, especially the most important therapy I would say that I would swear by for Varun was, more than any other therapies, it was nutrition first. Then other therapies started working. Before that, other therapies didn't even work for him. So once the gut was healing, he was able to receive therapy a lot better, So that started happening. So I was in the UK till he turned about 8 or 9 years old. And he significantly improved, hugely improved, actually. And then I was confident and I got trained, like I attended innumerable training programs. And I was confident that if I come back to India, if I don't find a place, then I can train him or I can teach him on my own. I don't need to be, I was not like when he was 2 years old. I was more equipped. So that way I was confident. So that's like in brief what happened during this 2.5 years of his age till he was 8 or 9 years old. So those 6 years were the most critical 6 years in Varun's life. Those 6 years have kind of laid the basis for what he's doing today.
Mm.
His 3-hour concerts, the way he performs with the team, his whole music classmates, the way he supports and understands what they are saying. Yes, he still has autism, but he's so much more functional, earlier there was no function. He was just running all over the place. He was non-verbal. Now I can talk to him, I can reason with him, he can talk to me, he can communicate with me. He won't converse, but he communicates what he needs to communicate. He tells me, I don't want this, I want this, let's not go there, I want a break today, I want a holiday. All the basic necessary communication is verbally done. And attending music classes, reminding me, scheduling his own classes, telling me I want to go on Tuesday, I don't want to go on Thursday. These kind of things, the concept of time, all that has come to him. And he's a very functional adult now. So I feel that all the hardships that I have gone through as a mother, the initial 5 or 6 years, has made him who he is today. I think all the parents should focus on the first 5-6 years after diagnosis. They are the most crucial 5 to 6 years of their life. They should stop running after ABCD 1, 2, 3, learning class, which grade, but they should focus on life skills, communication skills, attention, concentration, behavior, speech and language, sensory issues, more than 1, 2, 3, ABCD, how much he can write, how much he can read. I don't care, to be honest. Yes, Varun could not write very well till he was 7 or 8 years old, but his handwriting now is perfect. He writes very well. But the focus was never on handwriting. Focus was on working on his sensory issues, and motor issues. And the side effect of that was better handwriting. But we never started with better handwriting, So I think parents should think, what is it that they want their child to do. For me, eating was more important. Cutting his own fruit was more important. Making a cup of tea for himself was more important than just writing 1, 2, 3, learning answers by heart, and just getting a 10th class certificate. Isha, I get so many children here who come with 80% in 10th class in NIOS. But when I ask them, okay, I'll give you 10 rupees, just go across the street, get me, a biscuit packet, a 5 rupee biscuit packet, and how much change will you get? They don't know. But they would have had 80% in mathematics. How? And what is the use of that 80% if they can't understand how to get change for 10 rupees? 10 rupees. I'm not even talking complicated mathematics here. For me, that's a life skill, that parents have to think about. Do they have to? Can they use a calculator? Can they make a cup of tea for themselves? If I'm not well, can I ask Varun to make a cup of tea for me? Can I ask him to make Nimbu Pani for me if I'm not feeling well? Can I ask him to heat some food in the microwave and give me that food? Can he make a cup of rice in the cooker? Can he make dal? That's more important than having the NIO certificate in your room hanging on the wall, but the child cannot do any of these things that are more important in life. I think I never bothered about NIS. I never forced him to do any academics. He reads and writes. That was more important to me than getting a certificate, and him learning music. It is his passion. He loves it. That was more important than him getting certificates in music exams. I tried doing that. He has 2 certificates. His music teachers insisted. Then I used to see that he hated the whole process of writing exams. So I just gave up. I said, I just don't want him to go through that. I want him to sing. He loves singing. Why do we want to kill that also? The one thing that he loves the most, why should I kill that also? So let him just sing. How does it matter whether we have certificate or not? The best singers in the world don't have any certificates. They just sing, So why are we going after things like certificates, marks, percentage for our children? I think we should go about independence, life skills, social skills, adaptability, being flexible, understanding, that's more important for me. I think that's more executive function. Any skill which will improve their executive function is more important than a skill that is just going to get them a certificate academically only. That's my And that's what I understood in 22 years. And I'm so happy when I used to see my contemporaries, other moms who were going after certificates.
Mm.
And sometimes it used to bother me. Am I making a mistake by not chasing the certificates? But when I look at the children now, there's no comparison with Varun. I feel sad when I see them that they are not able to be independent adults. Whereas Varun is an independent young man who's respected in our house, who's not treated as a special person, but who's treated as a very valuable member of a family.
Mm.
Not somebody who needs fixing, who needs curing, who needs treatment. But we just love him the way he is, and he still has autism. We are so proud that he's the way he is. We never ever want to cure him. We want him to be the way he is. He's perfect.
So it is incredible, and he is perfect for sure. I've met him a couple
You
of
know him.
times, and it's
You know
been
him. How can he not be
pleasure.
perfect?
Yeah. Yeah, and he sings amazing. I mean, I
Yeah.
visited the concert, and I mean, both my parents were just amazed. I mean, just amazed. And my nephew, who was just 3.5, he was Varun Bhaiya, Varun Bhaiya. And
I know.
completely.
In 2018, right?
Yeah.
We had a
Yeah.
concert with him. Yeah, it was a big concert. There were so many people in the auditorium. He performed for almost 3 hours. Everything, most of the things that he performed was solo. He did so well.
Mm.
I was so
He did. It
proud.
was amazing. Actually, it was just amazing.
How can you say that a person with autism can be so composed with all the sensory stimulus, so many lights, so many sounds, so many people, so much noise, but he's concentrating, he's singing, he's performing. I think children, we should not allow them to burn out when they are younger. We need to conserve their energy. We need to preserve their mental energy, their strength, because when they become adults, that energy needs, they need the energy when they become adults, not when they are 15, not when they are 10. If you burn them out when they are 10, there's nothing left for them to use. You need to conserve and keep them, in reserve. So that's what I always tell parents, that don't let the child burn out very young. You should conserve that energy so that it can be used when they grow up. It just cannot be burnt out when they are 5 or 6, because you're pushing them to do academics, handwriting, write properly, write between the 2 lines, go to school 9 to 3, and then therapy from 3 to 6, and shoving food in their mouth in the therapy centers outside before the child goes inside. The child doesn't get a break. It's incessant, non-stop. It's too. I mean, I feel it's some kind of a child abuse. In the name of love, because we want our children to be successful. We want our children to achieve things that we have not achieved. We want our children to become what we could not become. So, and imagine if you are a parent like that, and if you have a child with autism, it's a big jolt. Oh my God, I could not become a doctor. I thought I'll make my child a doctor. Now my child has autism. How is he going to become a doctor? It's very upsetting, because now they couldn't live their dream. Their child also cannot live their dream. It's a double whammy for them. So it's very hard. I know it's very hard for parents. I'm also very ambitious, but through Varun, I've learned that his happiness is more important than my ambition. My ambition, it's okay. I don't have to, make him do things that I want him to do. I can actually I've changed my life and actually live whatever. I just put all my plans away, and I just decided, because I'm his mom now, he chose me to be his mother. I need to now make a life that is worth living for Varun. I don't have my own dreams. Now my dream is running Ananya, working for how to make Varun's life more future secure, more safe for adults, with how to make the community more safe for people with autism, spread awareness about autism, train young mothers to not to do the mistakes that I have done as a mother when he was younger. That's become my purpose. People ask me, are you unhappy? I said, no, I'm not unhappy, because I love my child so much that I get so much happiness at the end of the day by doing whatever I'm doing. It's absolutely not unhappy. I don't regret this decision, not a single day. I'm very happy with what I have chosen in this life. It was my calling. Yeah,
that
it's my
shows
calling.
also. No, Madhuri, I
Yeah,
mean, when somebody meets you from outside, when I met you for the first time, I mean, it was very obvious that you're quite sure of what you're doing. It is your calling, and you chose this. You're not
yeah,
doing this because of some demerit or some lacuna or something that has been forced upon you. That completely shows in you. That completely shows in Varun that he's so confident about things when he's speaking or he's singing. I mean, and the whole environment is so
yeah,
positive because it has not
yeah.
been forced upon you or him, anything.
No, no.
So yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
completely
it doesn't
agree to
feel
what you're
like work.
saying.
It doesn't
Yes.
feel like work to me. Simple. This is what I chose. So it does not work. That's why, you know how we work, right? We work till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We start our days at 9 o'clock and we finish at 2. It doesn't feel like work because I don't get tired, you know. So yeah, I think that's my take on what parents should do when their child gets newly diagnosed,
One
you
thing
know.
that I do want you to just speak a little about, I mean, I do understand from where you're coming, but a lot of times when parents come to me, like we were talking about an ad that has come recently in the paper, right? When they read about it on Wikipedia or Google or anywhere, or when they talk to a professional also, you rightly said there is no cure for autism, right?
Yeah,
There are enough help available which can make the child self-independent. Life skills can be taught, but there is no cure for autism. Can you just dwell a little bit on it? I mean, as a mother, I mean, what does no cure mean? What do you hear when when somebody tells you that okay, there is no cure for autism, or I can cure autism?
a lot of young parents who come to me after the diagnosis, sometimes they come with a diagnosis, sometimes they come with this concern of my child is not talking, and we do the diagnosis here. And we when we tell them that the child has autism, they ask me, ma'am, how much time does it take to cure him?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. It's they think it's like a disease, you know, it's like having a fever or having cold or having some, you know, some more serious condition which needs long term, you know, approach for treatment. So when I tell them that, ma'am, it's not a disease, ma'am, it is a uh, it is a neurological condition. The child's brain is wired very differently, and that's why you know, the child is not able to do certain things that they are supposed to do at that age. So they need to be trained, they need therapy, they need a lot of acceptance, love and care, so that they can pick up some skills, and then they can pick up the, you know, they can bridge the gap between them and their typically developing peers. So in some children it might take a couple of months, in some children it might take a few years. It based on where the child is starting and how much the parents are supporting the child at home. There is no cure, this is not a disease. I tell them every day, like every single parent meeting, new parent meeting I have, this is what we tell: there is no cure. Don't listen to anybody who says there is a cure. There is no cure, you know, for autism, because once there is an autism diagnosis, it's very hard to say there is a cure. But that said, imagine a child comes to me at 1.5 years with 1 or 2 symptoms of autism and some developmental delay,
Hmm.
and we can't really give a diagnosis of autism because the child is 1.5 years old. We start intensive therapy, like 3 hours a day intensive therapy with the child. After 6 to 8 months of intensive therapy, when we do autism assessment, they will not get the full score of autism
Yes.
diagnosis. I have not cured the child, by the way. That means the child never had autism. The child was only developmentally delayed with 1 or 2 symptoms of ASD. And we worked with the child so intensively. We did therapy so much that the child caught up with the development and is not in the autism spectrum anymore.
Hmm. Yes,
You
you're
know,
right there.
that's what it means. A lot of times parents think that we have cured our child. No, nobody can cure anybody of autism if they have autism. But if the child is on the borderline, for instance, the score is say 29 or
Hmm.
30,
Hmm.
then there is a chance that the child, after 1 year of rigorous therapy, will drop a few points.
Hmm.
There's a chance. I'm not
Hmm.
saying every single child does
Hmm.
that, but there is a chance that the child's points will reduce by a few points, and the child technically is not in the autism spectrum, because uh, according to the psychometric assessment, he does not have the condition. But that does, imagine the child score was 30 and we gave autism spectrum disorder. After 1 year of therapy, we redo reassessment, the child score is 28. it doesn't mean that the child does not have autism. Also, it means that only 2 points less. Anytime he will gain those 2 points and go back. So we tell parents that make sure that the child is significantly away from that 30, 7-8 points away from the 30, so that there is no chance of the child getting the score back to 30. So, these are the two scenarios we tell, but we never use the word cure. That word is not allowed. That's not the correct word to use.
That is the right way to put it, actually. That's not the right way to put it. That's not the right word.
Yeah, there's no word, there's no cure at all. So we can say that we can help the child, reduce the symptoms of autism. And also go as close to typically developing children as possible in terms of development, develop social skills, reduce sensory issues, improve communication, so that they can be in the mainstream school, they can study, because most of our children have average IQ or above average IQ, so they will be able to study well. So that does not mean that they are cured. That just means that the parents have done a lot of work, the therapists have worked well with the child, and the child is able to manage in a mainstream classroom. But every now and then there will be challenges that the child will face, and then the parents and the school and the society has to support the child to get through that situation. And then again, for some time, the child will do well, and again, there'll be setbacks. So I keep getting calls from 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds for help, because their parents have supported, they have done their BTech, they have done their MTech, they have done their masters and graduations, but they still call me and say, I'm going through this, till now I was fine, but can you help me? Can I come and meet you? So they have been diagnosed with autism, and they have studied, and they're doing all that, but still they have challenges. So there's nothing like cure. That is not correct.